Hello class, and welcome back to my home office. A slightly different perspective now, so you don't have to stare at the painting, now you can stare at the shelves. So I'm going to continue to talk about chapter 7. In my last presentation we talked about the AFN, the additional funding needed calculation, which basically said if sales increase by this certain percentage, how much money will we need to get from the bank? Now, one of the key assumptions with that calculation is that the company is operating at full capacity. In other words, their fixed assets, their machinery and equipment and their building and everything is being used to its full capacity. So any additional sales will require more equipment. But that is an assumption that's not necessarily true for many companies. Many companies are not operating at full capacity. For example, if sales go up, maybe a company would add a second shift at night rather than buying more equipment or operating another warehouse. So when we talk about that type of equipment and fixed assets, that is really a capital intensity item. In other words, how much capital. And when we talk about capital in this situation, we're talking about fixed assets. So companies that are labor intensive have a low capital intensity because they have a lot of labor required, and companies that have a low labor requirement usually have a high capital intensity. In other words, the labor component is replaced by equipment. So when we are looking at how much can a company increase its sales by without going to the bank, that, my friends, is a self-supporting growth rate. In other words, how much growth can the company support without getting more funding from the bank? So again, they are not operating at full capacity. So I will use the same example I used last time. Here are the assumptions. The current sales for this company are $2,000. Their total assets, $1,200. That's total assets. Their spontaneous liability, so again, that's accounts payable and accruals, $80. They pay out 25% in dividends, which means they keep 75% of the money they earn. And lastly, their profit margin, their net profit margin is 3%. So when they sell $2,000 worth, their net income is 3% of that. Okay, so the self-supporting growth rate calculation. So the top number is going to be how much money does the company keep when they have this much in sales? So we've got $2,000 times 0.75, one minus the dividend rate, times 3%. And that should be $45, but I'll check. 2,000 times 0.75 times 0.03, 45. And we're going to divide that by the total assets, $1,200, minus the spontaneous liabilities, minus the number on top, always that. And that bottom number is 1,200 minus 80 minus 45. So that's 1075. So we've got 45 divided by 1075. 45 divided by 1075. That is 4.2%. So what does that mean in words? That means that this company can increase its sales by up to 4.2% without needing any more fixed assets they can grow. In other words, that's how much growth they can support with their total assets. So if their sales go up by 4%, they don't need to add any more fixed assets or need additional funding. So this is a very important calculation for companies so that we can see how much maybe that would be the tipping point. Maybe rather than going up 5% for sales, they might go up just the 4.2, knowing that that wouldn't require a major investment. And remember that when we're talking about adding fixed assets, it's not $10 or $20. It might be an entire factory of fixed assets. So this is a very important calculation. So again, homework is going to be the mini case at the end of chapter 7. So the mini case incorporates 3 things that we have done: the additional funding needed, the self-supporting growth rate, and our stock valuation calculation, which we've already done, but this is just another practice to do this. So I will ask that you send that in, and as always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. We can arrange a phone call, and I hope you stay well, and I will see you all soon.